All right, it's time to go. Can't keep up with Steve, can we? Tough to keep up with this one. He can't wait to start the day. Used to be T-Rex. T-Rex is slowing down a little bit, but not that much, right? Right, T-Rex? Right, you show Steve. Steve never runs out the door barking, does he? Kind of walks out the door and gets himself all tangled. 65 degrees at 6:45 on June 9th, and rain is in the forecast, and the barometer is falling, and the tide is incoming. No, outgoing. Tim, do you know how to read a tide clock? What do we have today? Ominous sky is what we have today. The word of the day is cyclogenesis. What is cyclogenesis? Well, you know what cyclo is. That's to go around and around. Genesis is the beginning of something. So we have the beginning of something new in the atmosphere going around and around. And it's a low pressure system on a stalled front in central New York. And our ominous sky is indicative of incoming wall of water and thick clouds and probably a pretty low freezing level that will generate hail. There's no question it's a low freezing level. Look at the squirrels. You get 3 squirrels chasing each other over there. Oops. Too slow. I noticed when I zoomed in, the audio didn't change unless my audio functions changed overnight. Anyhow, yesterday's wind, air moving from high to low pressure, was generated by cyclogenesis in the state of Maine. Yesterday we had a deepening low pressure system where I was near Nantucket Sound. The wind was gusting 25 to 35 miles per hour. So here's the surface map this morning. That cyclogenesis from yesterday is deepened to 997, and that's in the Gulf of St. Lawrence, northeast of Maine. And our low pressure system that's going to be cyclogenating, what's the active tense? Cyclogenesis in progress is now a, what is it, 1001 or something, right over central New York with a tiny little high right to its north. And this is going to be a fascinating moving target today. That low pressure system is going to be deepening fairly rapidly as it crosses central New England today. I was kind of mixed on which model to use showing the precipitation and the wind, because if this were winter, there would be a serious rain snow line, and on the north side of that line there would be about 15 inches of snow, and on the south side there'd just be some light rain with gusty wind from the south and no snow. So it's another glad it's not winter. So which model did better this morning when I first looked at the maps? That was the HRRR. I always say HRR, but there's 3 R's. Rapid refresh. What's the other third R? I already forgot. Oh, high resolution rapid refresh. Anyhow, here it is. The high resolution rapid refresh surface with precipitation today. And there's the rain coming across mostly northern Massachusetts and Vermont, New Hampshire, southern Maine, and then you get a little sort of scorpion tail of downpours coming through Boston about maybe 2 or 3 p.m. and it'd be cold and wet underneath that rain. And the total QPF, I'll show that in a second. Let's go to how cold and wet. Well, when the rain developed in southern Vermont, here's the surface map from about 6:45 this morning. The temperature cooled to 48 degrees in the hills of southern Vermont with heavy rain this morning. Rabbit, rabbit. Yesterday, Kevin says, why do they say rabbit, rabbit? I said, I don't know. They just say it on the first day of the month. I say, rabbit, rabbit, stay out of my garden. I've been working hard on the garden yesterday. See? Looks a lot better, doesn't it? See? Anyhow, it's going to get cold. And the low temperature for the day is going to happen during our New England Longboard Classic Surf Contest in Hull, Massachusetts. So I'm Hull-centric. Here's the 3 to 5 day for Hull. And look at that. Temperature, red line, going down. Wind, gold line, going up right about 1 or 2 o'clock this afternoon. It's going to be in the upper 50s, and the wind, extraordinarily difficult forecast here in Boston. It's either going to be from the north or the east or the southwest, depending on the exact track of that low. Did I show the HRRR? I meant to show the NAM. Oh well, too late. HRRR was further south than the NAM. The NAM actually kept us in a southwest wind, but that 3 to 5 day graphic I show was from the Euro, which pretty much agrees with the HRRR on a southernmore track. Hey Andrew, anything biting out there? That's Andrew. He's fishing. And you can see he had on a raincoat. We're gonna need those at the beach today. I think I'm supposed to get to the beach early, but I don't think parking is gonna be an issue. Anyhow, today is a play-by-play kind of day. And the surf report this morning, Boston, light southwest wind, and 1 foot swell at 10 seconds. That's a pretty good period, but 1 foot, sometimes you can't even detect it, especially if it gets windy. It just gets buried in the chop. So hopefully I'll get there early. Here we are at 6 minutes, and I'm just trying to talk about today, cyclogenesis, low pressure deepening to 993 on the Maine coast, south of the low, the wind over Buzzards Bay and Nantucket Sound again today is going to gust past 25 miles an hour. Even though it's calm right now, it's going to pick up really quickly. And then just on the north side of this low, right on the beaches, some of us may have wind gusts from the opposite direction, from the northeast at 15 knots or better. So that's really interesting. And right in the middle, there could be a calm spot. So I guess the best we can hope for is that we get in the calm sort of eye-like feature of a cyclogenesis. How does that sound? Sounds like a movie. Midday today and this afternoon here in eastern New England. Then the sun sets should be pretty cool. Maybe there'll be some rainbows if the back edge of the cloud is distinct enough. And then tonight we start to get into this is technically all cold air advection. Yesterday in Boston, the high was 75, 5 degrees warmer than the previous day with cold air advection. That's because we had an offshore wind. Fitchburg, which was 85 on Friday, was 75 yesterday, and today, and when it rains in Fitchburg, it's only going to be about 55 degrees, so it's about 30 degrees colder than 3 days ago. That's cold air advection, Doug, not just advancing, advecting. Fancy terminology, right? Because sometimes it's warmer with cold air advection, and that may happen again tomorrow when the wind goes offshore in Boston and the sun comes out, and it'll be about 10 degrees warmer tomorrow. I've been Hull-centric, so why don't we stay Hull-centric? I'll show you the 15-day forecast here. And the last day way out there, you see those shades of blue and shades of red? Those are the temperature ranges from the ensemble. And then the number that's written down is the operational number. So you can see that the red line there, those numbers are the operational numbers at the bottom of the red shade. And so the uncertainty gets greater as you go out. 60s. Next couple of days, then 70s, and then getting close to 80, and then the operational number stays at the lower end of those ranges. But once you get out to the summer solstice, Thursday, way out there on the right, Thursday, June 20th, the range is a high temperature between 71 and 97 degrees in Hull, Massachusetts. How's that for a 14-day forecast for the solstice? Wait, that math doesn't work. And that's the 20th, 12-day forecast, okay. That graphic goes out 15 days. Right, Tim. Thanks for doing math on live YouTube, live to a recorded audience of birds. And can you hear the birds when it's in my stereo? All right, so let's see what's going on nationally. The heaviest weather in the whole nation, even though it looks like it's heavy around here, is actually in Kansas and Missouri, where there's flash flooding. That's the southern end of this front that's impacting New England today, and that's the boundary between the extreme heat. Sterling, our friend that loves snow skiing, is in Florida, and he says, why am I in Florida? Stifling heat day after day. Well, anyhow, this chill in the northeast is bounded by that front off to the south, which is north of Florida, and along that front, there's going to be another storm forming on Tuesday south of New England. So I wanted to show one more thing, the cold anomaly aloft. This is indicative of what's going on in New England today. The purple is very cold, anomalous at 500 millibars, up 18,000 feet. That's all about those thicknesses. So the thickness I talk about at 570 is like warm enough for 90-degree air, and 540 is cold enough for snow. Anyhow, we're closer to the 540 than the 570. A lot to comprehend here for so early in the day, isn't it? It's early in my day. And then it lifts out. But then another little cool pool aloft is scheduled to come in here next weekend, and then it's kind of neutral for most of the nation, but a subtle ridge here in the east. That's the uncertainty. That's why we saw that huge temperature range on that 15-day forecast for Hull. Now let's go to the lower 48 and see how that plays out. the heavy rain that's in Kansas and Missouri. You can barely see it falling apart. Our rain is gone by tonight, and then tomorrow we have scattered showers, more isobars, gusty breeze from the northwest. Should be fairly comfortable, pretty chilly. Temperature on Mount Washington today is in the 30s, probably staying there the next couple of days. And where the sun is out near the beaches, it'll be warmer, 70s, 60s in the hills next 2 days. And then there's that low to our south on the same front we just talked about with the flooding in Kansas. That low is enigmatic as is much of the weather lately, and it still tries to slow down a bit south of Nantucket, but it's precipitation offshore. Yet some light green there showing up on Wednesday, some precipitation here in the northeast, so that is a real uncertainty here Wednesday. And then Thursday, the 570 and 576 are just to our south. That's the real hot air, and it looks like a Friday front with thunderstorms, and much like what's happening today, it looks like there's going to be a wave on that front next Friday night and Saturday, if this verifies, with some more heavy rain, very similar to what's happening right now. And then that would be cooler next Sunday into Monday, and then the heat's right on our doorstep once you get out to about Tuesday, the 18th of June. So a lot of uncertainty here, especially the next 8 hours. This is going to be a fascinating day, and of course, tune in tomorrow for the NMAR. And maybe I'll try and do a live in YouTube or something like that from the beach today. And T-Rex being so patient. What is that, Rex? Is that Gretel playing with us? And I've lost Steve. Oh boy, where's Steve? He's got a long line. There he is. See that? Got away from me again. Yeah, I'm a bad cat sitter. Hopefully he's stuck over there. And more will be me catching Steve and then going to Cape Cod yesterday and back to Weymouth last evening in the wind. Stay. I'll be right back. What do you say for yourself? Are you stuck? You went over that wall. Come on, let's go. Going home. Walking the cat. Steve thinks he's a dog, which is fine with me. If you were like Rex, you'd go around that gazing ball. Come on. Good boy. Okay. And more and more and more from yesterday. It almost feels like an early fall day. Temperature in the 70s and instability cumulus in the sky. How's the DY Dolphin team doing in the baseball playoffs?
They lost a heartbreaker 2-1 to East Bridgewater.
Made it to the final 8.
Yep.
Good season.
It was a great season and a young team, so hopefully they'll be back again next year.
And John's on next year?
Oh yeah.
What about the year after? What
John's a freshman.
Wow.
Most of the team are freshmen, sophomores.
Oh my goodness, the Dolphins next 4 years.
Yep.
Wow, that's awesome.
So,
and
lot to be proud of.
All started right here in that batting cage right there. On the shores of Bass River. It's legal and it's legit. Midday update. Beautiful. Sinking air over the sound. Instability cumulus over the land. That makes sense. And instability downpours. Weir says it's pouring. He drove from Merrimack, New Hampshire, and this to Portsmouth, New Hampshire. So, classic almost fall type instability, or like April. Looks like some threatening skies, T-Rex. What do you think? Yeah. Trying to do some cleaning around here. One of my least favorite things to do, well, behind gutters and windows and screens, is repairing screens. I don't even know if I'm doing it right. And of course you got to use the pet screen, which is really tough. The gasket was shorter than the length before, and now it's longer. Am I doing it right? I don't know. I've done it years and years and years, but never enjoyed it. That's my story. How goes the rain off Cape?
Hurricane.
There he is.
Yay.
Here we go. We're going to talk weather now.
Wild clouds.
There's some downpours over Cape Cod Bay at 3 o'clock. We're on the southern edge of them.
And some drip coming out of there.
Subsidence over Nantucket Sound. It looks like the heaviest showers, though, at 3 o'clock are over Cape Ann, headed off to the east. Instability until further notice.
Wild looking clouds.
Especially
Gotta love
now,
it.
Jeff is here.
And look at the blue line. Love it.
The weatherman brought me the perfect blade, and we were able to do it. Hopefully that'll last.
That'll keep some bugs out of the house.
I think this old screen was probably 25 years old.
Rex probably knew exactly what you were doing too.
Yeah.
I always feel bad for Steve when he runs out of line and he gets snagged and he's like, oh, I want to go there.
And for those of you that have been following for a long time, remember we built this wall a couple years ago and then gradually replanting. All these plants came from Rescue Gardens.
Moved from house to house, not bought at the nurseries. And look at the hydrangea. This thing's going to be putting on a great show. Phlox has gone by. Put some seeds in here. It's so neat when the pumpkin seeds blossom and you got the seed still attached to the green. Yep, neat, huh? Plenty of pumpkins. They're all scattered around both houses. And the rain's just missing. South side of Cape Cod.
Kind of windy, but very pretty. Wounded Warriors Fishing Tournament in Nantucket Sound today.
I'm glad I didn't have to go out on
On a boat, but thank you, Warriors, and welcome to Cape
Cod if it's your first time.
Great job today. Sunday.
Dancers for hosting. T-Rex really doesn't like traveling. There we go over Bass River and a couple of raindrops hitting the windshield here on the Yarmouth side of the Bass River. Bubbling convection. Very unstable atmosphere.
Got wind. Everything is blowing around here today. That flagpole is shaking.
The lion's mane. Steve, come on.
Blowing in the wind.
New boats in the water. Not the best day for boating. Probably a great day for sailing, but I don't see any sails. They were probably hoping for a better night than this. It's graduation season. Graduates got to go somewhere. Come on down to our groomed beach. Out of reach. Although I heard a police patrol came down the beach in their vehicle last weekend. So things are changing a little bit. I think you guys both missed it, but a sharp-shinned hawk just
Flew right over my head. I was gardening right up into that maple where I know the birds are nesting. But I haven't heard too much commotion, so maybe everything worked out. Maybe the sharp shin got his dinner and nobody noticed missing birdies.
And of course, the new strawberry moon.